We are Lagos Talks 91.3.
Let's talk. Alrighty, it's 5 minutes past 11. A very good morning to you. Welcome to the Midday Show with me, Ifunaya, here on Lagos Talks 91.3. It is a fun-filled, fantastic Friday. And guess what, guys? It is the first time I'm seeing Seun Kuti in 2021, and we're already in the 15th of January 2021. How possible is this, Sean?
If he was partying with billionaires.
Excuse me, Sean, is this the way you're going to introduce the show?
If he was not on our level.
That's not true,
It took her 2 weeks to recover. She was not telling that as well. She came in contact with somebody so she has to isolate.
Yeah, that's the protocol. Immediately you come in contact with anyone that's positive, you isolate now.
The people that are positive, I know where they were. At big parties with the big men of Nigeria.
It's not from parties.
Enjoying
now.
at the VIP.
It's not from parties.
Section of the.
It's not only from parties.
From VIP section of club.
It's not only from clubs.
From the
How many clubs are even open during? Well, okay, yeah, they actually arrested some people.
Let's not even go
clubs
there.
Clubs were open.
But I did not go. I don't understand the Nigerian urge
to go like partying, like this December must not pass.
Enclosed place. The one that was even driving me crazy was people going to strip clubs and all that. Like having.
Sorry, what?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of my friends were like going to the strip club all the time. I didn't hang with them.
And doing what? In this COVID season.
I don't understand. A stripper that has stripped for how many men that they will take their equipment, come and rub it all over. I mean,
oh my gosh.
I mean, you guys, you are stronger than me. I have to say, I'm just a revolutionary. But you guys, they are gangsters.
No,
this is different.
No, that's terrible. It's lack of discipline, I believe.
I get mine.
And I mentioned like a few days ago that there are people that have three minds in this COVID-19 season. There are people that believe that they are impenetrable. COVID-19 cannot enter them because they have, the most formidable system.
I'm one of those.
That's one. There are people that think that they've already gotten it. Either they were asymptomatic or symptomatic.
I'm one of those.
They feel like they are impenetrable
COVID
now. There are other people that think completely that this is a scam. So it just depends on who you are in the three categories in COVID-19 season.
These three categories for me are, everybody is entitled
to their category.
But the only person not entitled to a category here is elected officials, government that have to create policies to keep everybody safe.
I like that.
And
we're gonna get into all of that, shortly.
I believe personally, that COVID cannot catch me. But now, does that mean I should go and test the ancestors?
Is it because of these beads that you have around your neck?
No. I think growing up in a traditional home like mine, there used to be these people called Ilewe Omo.
What's that?
They are child carers in Yoruba, traditional Yoruba child carers.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, I must have spent half of my childhood with these people, getting different inoculations, cuts. I still have all the marks on some on my hand. I have some on my belly still.
Like when you were ill?
I wasn't even ill. Even before you get ill, they make you ill.
Why?
It's like
to boost your immune system. Yeah. Interesting.
So they make you ill, with different. They cut you and then they, rub different. They have different ones for measles, for smallpox, for all these different diseases, and I think I suffered that a lot as a kid.
Wow.
All my head like this. The amount of Yoruba we call it bere, but in English is incisions. So enough.
That's my first time hearing.
I don't even fall sick. Even if I fall sick normally at home, I ask my mom. Now one night, if I fall sick like this, by the next day I'm fine.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. I was going to say, and you believe that it was because of all these things that they put you through. Okay.
Yeah. Definitely, it has to be.
Okay.
It has to be.
That's interesting.
But now, does that mean I will not go inside a club full of people and leave myself there because I believe that? No.
It's not going to enter.
That's not how it works. That's why even Jesus Christ.
Take precaution, guys.
Even Jesus Christ, when Lucifer told him to jump down from the mountain.
Yes.
The Son of God, he said that people believe. He said, this is not how this works.
Don't test me.
I know that my father will catch me, but that's not how it works.
But I would not intentionally walk into the fire.
I will not disturb my dad.
Yeah.
It's disrespectful.
And say my dad is going to come and capture me.
It's disrespectful.
All right, guys, let's just get into the show for today. It's 10 minutes past 11. Welcome to the People's Perspective. Hi.
So now people can see. If I didn't want to show people if he sees, because this face is not.
I'm blowing kisses, and Seun is on his Instagram. So
do you know
Instagram
how many of my
Live.
friends watch this show just to look at your face?
Is it? Really?
Shani,
So you guys must have missed me for the many weeks that I was away. Well, I apologize.
Shani,
but I'm
hold
here
something. I'm about to
grace
scatter
you
your
with
table.
my presence today. So I hope you enjoy yourselves. Anyways, guys, let's move on to the stories today. We're going to be dissecting a few stories, as we always say, from your perspective. We're going to start off with the NIMC releasing an update regarding the BVN generated national identification number. So the National Identification Management Commission warned Nigerians recently not to depend on the national identification number that was generated during their BVN registration, and they said that it is invalid until it's updated at the NIMC office. Now, we did see that when they had put out the directive saying that if you do not link your SIM card to your NIN, within a particular period, it's going to be blocked. And of course, a lot of people started running helter-skelter because they just wanted to ensure that they're sorting everything out, knowing the influx of people in the NIMC offices across Nigeria. And then later on, when some more information was given, there are people that then realized that, I already have an NIN because when I was registering for my BVN, there was an NIN generated for me. And this was, I believe, to an extent, thanks to the different banks who already let their customers know at some point that, listen, you already have your NIN. All you need to do is to type a certain code, and then it's going to be given to you so that you can link it with your SIM card. And so people thought, you know what, that's the end of my struggle or my hustle. I don't need to go to the office. Just a few days ago, on their official Twitter handle, they put out information saying, well, not so fast. Don't rest just yet. If you got your NIN via the BVN registration, it's not valid though until you come to the NIMC office to complete your registration. And now, of course, this has been faced with a lot of backlash. There are people that believe that the government is genuinely looking for ways for them to contract COVID-19, or just genuinely looking for ways to exacerbate their already existing plight as Nigerians.
Wait, let me just say, if it is me that this government want to set up with COVID, I've already done NIN. Me, I've done mine like 18 months ago. So I don't know.
But yours, you did yours directly with the NIMC.
Yeah. I done mine like 18 months ago when they just announced it then. I think I was about to get a new passport. I've forgotten why I did. No, my madam recently went to do her own. Yeah. With the kid. So then I said, since they've done this, why don't they just go and do it? So I just went and did mine too. Mm-hmm. And actually, when they released this information, because I couldn't find the slip. Then I remembered, I didn't go and take the slip. Yeah. Because you go, they give you something that you've done it. They have to go back and submit that one to take your slip.
They do.
So I didn't go back. I just wrote the number in my bank information, the NIN and my bank information. Mm-hmm. So when they said that, I was like, oops. So I went. Well, I didn't go. Let me not lie. I made a call. I told them.
I didn't go.
I said you can send your phone number, name, and something, and they help you generate it since you've done it. So they generated mine and sent it to the house, and the numbers matched. So I was like, if the numbers matched, what was the fuss about? Because BVN too, we did biometrics.
Yes,
they took
of course.
fingerprint. They took all the things that they take for all the usual suspects for biometrics. Yeah. So what are we going to NIMC for? If it's not for Corona. I mean,
no, you know what? Aside from the questions about the government intentionally trying to expose people to COVID-19, do you think that this step is absolutely important or necessary, or do you think that this just raises red flags that makes people believe that there is more than meets the eye? Because it seems like they actually really want Nigerians to just get to that office to be present to ensure that the registration is done.
Should I tell you the narrative?
What's the narrative
of this government? The narrative of this government is the narrative of every government that has ever ruled us in this democratic dispensation. Okay. Is that they blame the Nigerian people for problems in Nigeria. Their own shortcoming, their own failure. That's why there's no parable, Nigerian elites like more than, and you have the leaders you deserve.
Yeah.
As if Nigerians have not shown more with blood and tears and broken bones that we don't want these leaders, and they just ignore us and rig elections and do whatever they like to put themselves there.
Yeah.
You know, I realize that this is this government is just trying to say, okay, do NIN so that we can identify people. That is reason for insecurity in this country is because people can be identified, right? So let's forget whether this NIN is even wholesome enough, even a complete approach, in terms of identifying Nigerians, where you are saying, okay, the punishment for not doing it is that you lose your phone line. How many Nigerians don't have phones? Millions.
Of course.
In fact, it is in these places where we have the highest amount of insecurity that people don't have phones. That's where the phones don't even exist. In the north, in all those deep northern areas where there's no government presence, all these telcos are not confident to set up there. People don't even have the facilities to own phones in these places. So is it we that own phones only that are going to be punished for not having NIN? The rest, poor Nigerians, can go on being unidentified. Do you understand?
Yeah, I get what you're...
Now, how about the foreigners? Are they going to get Nigerian identification numbers too? Even foreigners on holiday that don't live here, before they can get phone lines, or your guest or the foreigner that don't live here will have to have a phone line? I don't understand. Anyway, maybe the companies that they work for will be responsible.
That's a very, very cogent point, right?
Yeah, there. And then what if the lines are now stolen, or you think you give it to one employee but with another employee, and we know about mercenaries in war. So if we're at war in the north, definitely there are mercenaries operating there. What are we doing to identify those people? You understand what I'm saying? So this is not even a wholesome approach. It's an approach. So now, when we the people are resisting it, we can't go now. So Nigerian government can come back and say, this insecurity is continuing because Nigerians have refused to do BVN. NIN.
So just further blaming Nigerians for that.
Exactly. I think that's their whole point. Oh, Nigerians have not done NIN. That's why we are waiting for Nigerians to do NIN. When it is actually the government's job to be proactive. Like we said last week, what is NIN without a census?
Yes, true.
The government doesn't even know how many Nigerians they want to generate number for. So this is just as I say, another way to blame the Nigeria, to pass the buck. Okay, we'll do something when you people register for NIN. If you don't register for NIN, we'll take your phone lines, as if majority of Nigerians even have phones.
I believe that this aligns with the sentiments of Nigerians who say that the government usually lacks innovative and calculated solutions to issues that arise in Nigeria. And not only that, it just always seems like, sadly, the government comes up with policies that contradict previous policies that they have released to the general public. Because in a case where you as a government itself, there is such disconnection from within, where one government agency has come out to say, you know what, we're in charge of championing the fight against COVID-19 in Nigeria. I'm talking about the PTF coming out with the guidelines and the protocols and what have we. And then on the other hand, you would see a situation where the NIMC is coming out to say, we need you physically at the office within a stipulated period. If not, your phone lines or your SIM cards are going to be blocked. And we know that we're battling COVID-19. And I wonder, that togetherness, that oneness that ought to be within the government in order to move Nigeria forward is missing. It's lacking. And so if you come out to say that you're trying to battle COVID-19, and then you come out to say that you're trying to battle insecurity, but you don't have a collective way in which you know that you would do do both by battling COVID-19 whilst battling insecurity by getting Nigerians to register their NIN, it just means that there's a lack of innovative and calculated, methods and ideas for the government to actually tackle these issues in Nigeria. Sadly, what are you showing?
The Ministry of Education said the will of the majority of the states and the FCT should prevail, and schools should reopen nationwide from Monday.
Well, that's our next topic.
The Ministry of Health, basically doctors, say government ought to make sure that people stay at home to prevent infection.
There you go.
Opening of school is a danger in waiting.
There you go. So the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Health, saying two different things, speaking two different languages.
I just want you to know, in this country, decisions are made by interest. By whose interest? For interest, not by ideas. It's not an exchange. Decisions are made not from discussing an exchange of ideas. I always say this. That's why I refuse during the NSAS to negotiate with the elites of this country. I refuse to be part of any official negotiation because I understand what they mean in Nigeria when they say let's negotiate or let's discuss.
Yeah.
It is not an exchange of ideas. It is an exchange of interest. So when they go and sit down now to discuss whether they should open schools or not open schools or do NIN or not, who will it interest? Who will it benefit? That is what they will discuss. And it is individual benefit and interest, not national interest. Or, their individual interest. That we still have the NIN contract. All these, our information in Nigeria. Do you know how many companies are allowed to take our biometrics, our fingerprints as citizens of this country, that have our data, our phone lines, our bank details just everywhere in the hands of everybody, and they are selling it because this is the new money today. This is the information age. Information is power. That's why everything you use on your phone, almost everything is free. They just say put your email, put your
yes.
everybody wants your information. They want your data.
And just speaking about the issue, one of the issues being, members of government just seeking interest as opposed to the welfare, the well-being of the people. And I believe that is also one of the reasons why we have a lack of continuity in government. Because when an APC government is in power, it's totally different, their agenda and every other thing. So if there are projects that were started by the PDP-led government that were for the betterment of the people, the APC-led government will probably come into power and say, well, this is not what we are thinking about at the moment. This is not our agenda. And there is the lack of continuity in government because it's just the interests that they are seeking.
It's personal interest, because if it was national interest, there would be continuity. But because when they enter every new party, that's it's even evident in our education that look at something like the Student Union, for example, an institution that had been built over years that has not been destroyed. An organization like NANS, for example, too. You find out that every new set of students have to start all like they're starting all over again.
Yes.
To represent themselves and fight for themselves. Like there's no sustainability. Like those things that the previous students fought for, these new students are going to be able to benefit from it. No way. It even leads to factions in schools and things like that. So it's the same thing even in I say to people like, okay, in this country, Nigeria, what does it mean that young people are talking of forming new parties? What happened to the parties that help us win independence in this country? Shouldn't those be these platforms that we should tie our liberations to and to continue our journey? But no, they don't exist anymore. Everybody has to start something afresh.
Yes.
Every government you have to start afresh because they've destroyed all the platforms and institutions because of personal interest.
Okay. All right. If you're listening, please feel free to join the conversation. We have different platforms just for that. On Twitter, it's at Lagos Talks 913. Please use the People's Perspective, the hashtag the People's Perspective. Whilst you're sending your tweet, I beg your pardon. And if you are going to give us a call, the phone lines are 0809 234 5913, 0809 222 0913, 0809 191 3913. You could also call 01 515 0913, 01 515 1913. Lagos Talks.
Hello, Ify.
Hi, good morning. Who's speaking?
Good morning. My name is Sebastian. How are you?
Very well, thank you, Sebastian. How's it going?
Seun, how are you doing? I'm doing good.
I do, Sebastian. How far?
See, this issue we're talking about, you just hit it, and that was the same argument we were having in the office, and we were having this conversation. Doing a census will just take care of all these issues that we're talking about. Because if you decide to digitalize your census, as you are going from house to house to do the census, you generate the numbers for each and every one of them as you're doing it. That means you solve your problem already. But they will not do it because they know why they are not doing the census. The last census we had, I can't remember when it is. They, like you correctly said, interest is what matters. They are beginning to look at. They're not thinking about you. If it doesn't favor them, forget it. They will tell you that it is not right. But the moment it favors them, then it is right and it becomes okay. So, anyway, have a lovely morning.
Sebastian,
Thank you very much for your input.
Lagos Talks. Good morning. Who's speaking?
Good morning, Oga Boss. Maybe we got to talk. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Ebuka. Where's my bet? I've been sabotaged.
I hear, bro. I'm on your side now.
I do.
If you never know, we are taking his malaria or this in the head. It was even billionaire gang that had him down. Sorry, sir.
Are you listening to? Don't listen to him. Or he's just joking.
That's what we see.
My brother. All is well. Child will pray and she's back. I have two things to say. One is because I traveled. You see, network infrastructure. Go to the villages. Network is poor. So if you are cutting these people off, that means you don't want them to be connected. Then again, this government, I don't know, because the essence of us talking is for us to get better, for us to be sensitized. And it seems as when this government come, they will sit on what is wrong, and they will keep doing what is wrong. Even when they have that political way, when they get there, you see, they blind their eyes. They are setting policy back and forth, and at the end of the day, we are just suffering ourselves for what is not good. Most cities in this country, that's the only place, like I was saying about network infrastructure, that's the only place you can see 3G or age. You get the papa and mama them, they don't even know about it. I have pushing deadline. We are talking about coronavirus. So I don't understand the essence of us coming to shout and they are not doing anything. Good day, bro. Hey.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you want to send, before you go, if you want to send a WhatsApp message, send it to 0809 234 5913. Yeah, Sean.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point Ebuka made as well, because many people's parents are in the village, and they are older people, and it's only their phone lines that can use to communicate with their son or their daughters that are in the cities where there's only service under one tree. Now, these old people will have to go and register for NIN, and go in midst of crowds when we know how susceptible old people are.
So now the question is, we wonder, because like you did mention, millions of Nigerians don't have phones. And if the NIN is very important, we then wonder what the next punishment, so to speak, would be for those who don't have the NIN. If they can't block their SIM cards, what are they going to do? They're going to
say, without NIN, you can't buy food.
Oh my God.
They will not go to the Nigerians that don't even have money to buy food, that they dash food.
It's terrible. Let's take this Lagos Talk. Please turn off your radio. Good morning.
Hi, Ify. Finally.
Good
morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And good morning to Seun Baba. This is Adeyemi from Okota.
All right, Adeyemi, welcome.
Yes. No, basically, Seun has said it all. But I think that we have an absentee, National Assembly. Because this is a very serious matter and it's very dangerous, for example, to ask students to resume in a situation in which we know that they are going to catch COVID. NIN is one thing, which is crazy. Like they are making money from it, but they want to cut off those to spite their pay. Fine. But here, we have students going to school when we can actually do remote learning, which is going on in most of the places, especially now that we have the increase or the second wave of mutation of this virus. to now say that we go back to schools, it seems to me that they are not following science, they are following politics, which is very dangerous. The National Assembly ought to come in, and because that is our representatives, as we've spoken ourselves first, let them do something and make sure that we do not increase this COVID thing, that everybody is not start dying on the street.
All right,
so I refuse to believe that we should resume. They should not resume school on Monday.
All right, thank you. Just to properly dissect this particular story, let's now move into the school resumption story, because I would have to also give you details and the conditions for the resumption to take place. So the federal government just yesterday, as we all know, or some of us know, disclosed that, of course, the schools will be opening up, and for the schools to open up, overcrowding, large gatherings such as assemblies, visiting days are banned in these different schools. The government also put limitations to class sizes, hostel occupancy, and asked the schools to ensure compulsory wearing of face masks by all students, teachers and workers, as well as to ensure temperature checks and put hand washing facilities in strategic locations in all the schools. The government also asked the school authorities to ensure constant supply of water and sanitizers, and to make available functional health clinics with facilities for isolation and transportation of suspected cases of medical facilities to medical facilities, I beg your pardon. So the Minister of Education, Malam Adamu, gave this condition in a statement by the Director of Press in the Ministry of Education, Ben Bemgung. According to him, the decision to maintain the resumption date is the aftermath of extensive consultation with relevant stakeholders, including state governors, commissioners of education, proprietors and heads of institutions, staff unions, and students as well were included. Adamu told the parents and the respective institutions to ensure full compliance with COVID-19 protocols.
Is it these parents that can't stop going to club and party? Okay, keep on, let's go.
He said, and I quote, sequel to the hint given during the press briefing on the 12th of January for the review of the proposed resumption date for the 18th of January, the Federal Ministry of Education has undertaken a comprehensive appraisal of the situation. These measures, which are to ensure safe reopening of schools for academic activities, will be subject to constant review as we urge teachers, school administrators, and other stakeholders to ensure strict compliance. And there are a few other things, but we've seen some of the conditions that they gave: to ensure temperature checks, to ensure the students are physical distancing, to ensure that they are wearing face masks.
My question is, can the government ensure this in its own society? The government itself cannot ensure this thing, cannot enforce these things, even in larger society, even in government parastatals. Now you want schools to do what you cannot do. Schools to provide ambulance straight to move patients. Can the government move patients? No, I'm telling you, everything is a microcosm of government in this country. Whatever government cannot do. When people say private sector is the answer, I always say to people, every day you are swearing for your telco, whichever one you are using, because your data is slow, your phone line is cutting. It's because the federal government of Nigeria themselves cannot run Nitel. That's why those telcos run like that. Even private sector is affected by the incompetence of government, but just because they all make money from their incompetence together, they continue to parrot like they can come in where government has failed. Can't this government just invest in remote education? See, this is the problem. The issue is that they've gone to look at the numbers. Poor people's children couldn't go to school all of last year. There was no Zoom class for them. They couldn't afford it, all these public schools.
Of course.
So now the government has realized that except school reopens, they will have to provide remote education for the poor. And that is what they don't want to hear. I don't care what anybody is saying. The issue here is that this government does not want to invest. Even in the normal education, the face-to-face education, they are not investing. So now Corona is saying to them, invest in remote. That means this is creating a whole kind of infrastructure.
Of course.
To carry the millions of children in public schools.
Yes.
The millions of young adults in government universities. So this is what the government is trying to avoid by any means necessary, to now put everybody's lives at risk, knowing fully well that the rich people will not allow their children to go back to school. They will continue their remote learning, putting the lives of poor children at risk. This government cannot tell me that they are making any decision based on the welfare of Nigerian people during the pandemic. You know why? The evidence is there, glaring, but nobody's talking about it. That's why I know that every analyst in media in Nigeria, see, people blame National Assembly. See, our National Assembly, the way our politicians are set up in Nigeria is that there must be heat.
Yeah.
If the media is not giving the heat, then there's no way the government moves, because they will be like, there's nothing happening. This is just some miscreants making noise. And these journalists know that, so they mortgage the truth for extra money in their pocket all the time. This government has not built one single new hospital in any state. Even Lagos State has not commissioned, open a new hospital in 1 year of a pandemic. This pandemic has, what am I saying, been going on since December 2019 in China. This is January 2021. The federal government of Nigeria has not declared at least one hospital in each geopolitical zone for COVID. Is isolation center tent for 1 year. Now, even after that, this second wave has now come to overwhelm their infrastructure. Nothing, they cannot even improve it. They're not saying people should stay in their homes and take care of themselves. Now we have gone back to the ancient African traditional way, where everybody is your own doctor. Thank God for some of us with the knowledge of herbs. But me, I only treat fine girls. If you have any fine girl with COVID,
what do you mean by that?
And that's the one they taught me. Make I do past myself. Any fine girl with COVID, please, that you can't get to the hospital.
Before we wrap up, and just in alignment with what you're saying, I believe that if the government
2 weeks in my house,
if the government comes out to say that indeed they've consulted, stakeholders, and what they've decided to do was to open up the schools, giving these conditions. What I'm expecting the government to come out with is, if at all you've decided, okay, you want your students to go to school, I'm looking for plans, infrastructural plans, because the government schools cannot even provide what you're even asking for. How are they able to fund it? Even before the pandemic, they were underfunded. And so you as a government, what I'm expecting for you to say is, okay, these are the conditions that we've brought out, and this is the plan for us to fund the infrastructure, fund other aspects of the implementation of these conditions and the protocols that we've given to them. Not only that, give us a detailed plan on your response if there be an outbreak, because take a look at what happened in Israel when they decided to let the kids go to school.
England,
and the numbers, if not doubled, and they saw and they traced that it came from the resumption of schools. And I'm so sure that our government is privy to this information because it's everywhere. And so if you know that letting the schools reopen would endanger the lives, or there is a possibility of an outbreak coming from the schools, what is your response to that? Have you put anything in place to respond to an outbreak from these different schools?
And what kind of private meeting is being held about education and COVID? Any meeting we are all stakeholders in this. Every single Nigerian, even the Nigerian that is not yet born, is a stakeholder in this pandemic/education issue. So what kind of private meeting are they holding among themselves and deciding for everybody? This should be a public meeting.
On behalf of people.
This should be something that should be carried out in town halls. See what I'm saying? Our politicians, they hate working. Everybody just there in Abuja, send email, make phone call, and receive alert. That's all they do. Nobody wants to do their jobs. It's true. The Ministry of Health should be coordinating with the Ministry of Education to hold town hall meetings right now to talk about this issue, where this pandemic intersects with the education of our children and the next generation of Nigeria, and what Nigerians want to do about it. But as I said, we are of no consequence here. The stakeholders have been spoken to. As if, who are these stakeholders? Are they vampire hunters? Are they holding this stake to go and put in the vampire's heart somewhere that we cannot see and know them? I mean, I don't understand these stakeholders.
All right, let's just get on WhatsApp for a bit. To everyone who wants to send a WhatsApp message, it's 0809-234-5913. This is coming from, let's start with this one. Okay, this is coming from a listener saying, okay, so Folabi saying, Ify and Mr. Seun, good morning. Mr. Seun, how far the new policy...
I never miss my style.
How
Seun, no
say Mr. Don't kill me.
I never miss my style.
Mr. Seun, how far the new political party you created, please, has it been approved? You already have my vote. Our current government officials are currently doing Game of Thrones with us.
Yes, every time I'm on the street with my friends, anybody that greets me, I'm counting it as a vote down. So if you know you're not going to vote for MOP, don't greet me when you see me on the street. Just strong your face, they go.
This is from Chief Udo saying, good afternoon or good day, Ify and the Big Bird. Sometimes I wonder who is in charge of this country. People wake up and give orders the way they like, and some counter it, and at the end of the day, they blame the citizens. I thought the BVN generated NIN is enough until the recent information disapproving it. This is coming from Laja saying, God bless you guys for the job well done. Governor Wike of Rivers State is busy commissioning roads in Port Harcourt with large crowds in attendance. PTF isn't saying anything about that. This one is coming from Adebayo saying, good morning. This propels are bereaved of any meaningful ideas. What's the philosophy behind the NIN linkage? How can other previous government registration never stop the kidnappers from collection of huge ransom from their targets? Well, the rest I really don't understand. It's very difficult for me to read your message, but thank you. This is coming from Tare saying, I think there's an agenda, one of which they plan to impose another lockdown, which can only be when the number of COVID cases increase. So they will make more money for themselves from state capture, because the 42 million euros that was given to Nigeria, they have not shared that money. Federal government of Nigeria, they don't think, because they only do copy and paste. This is coming from...
Next week we have to talk about this borrowing issue in Nigeria. No, we have not touched on borrowing.
Oh yeah,
we have to talk about that.
This is coming from Masiu saying, hi Shehu, you're very right, because government is forcing schools to do what they can't do.
Yeah.
But you will still see some people supporting this failed government on radio, and they're equally affected.
Listen, people, anybody that's supporting government, I see they are collecting money. I don't even want to know anymore. Come and argue with my ancestors. You are collecting money. Anybody supporting this government, I don't even want to know anymore. The person is on payroll.
Let's take this one.
Benefiting one way or the other.
Lagos Talks. Hello. Good morning. Who's speaking? Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Who's speaking? Oh man, I think we're having issues with that.
Maybe
call.
someone from NIN.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. Who's speaking?
My name is Peter Monse from Shomolo.
All right, Peter Monse. Good morning. Welcome. Let's hear you.
Thank you very much. Honestly speaking, when the schools are able to put up those facilities the government is talking about, what about their parents, the parents of these children that are in the market without those protocols, that are at the NIN offices or locations without those protocols? Can't the parents now accept the children that have tried to protect themselves at schools? My question for the government is this: why can't we do something for other nations to copy? During the period they were busy holding palliatives in anticipation of the second wave, why didn't they at that same time make available the money that they will make sure they buy vaccine to at least vaccinate the students first? Because these are the future of tomorrow. Because they will resume school, get all the students vaccinated so that they will be safe in the schools. For me, the government is not, they have never been serious. They are not serious. They talk with you. If you argue with them, the same assassins, the same killers, they rob you in and they seize your account. Honestly speaking, I'm not just disappointed. I think I'm fed up with Nigeria.
Don't be fed up. Don't be fed up. Let it be fuel to the fire that we have to change the country.
That's it right there. Lagos Talks. Good morning. Who's speaking? All right, we lost that one. Keep your calls coming through as well as your tweets and your WhatsApp messages. Let's just quickly read some WhatsApp messages if we can. All right, now whilst that is coming up, I'll take this call. Lagos Talks. Good morning. Who's speaking?
Good afternoon, Funaya.
Good morning.
Good
What's your
afternoon
name?
to the big bird. My name is Oguda Ify.
All right, let's hear you.
I just want to tell you something about the foreigners. If you are a foreigner and you have a work permit, you are also going to need NIN. But if you are a tourist, as far as you have a tourist visa, I think they are going to allocate a number to you that you need to register. But I don't think all this is necessary now. We are in a pandemic. This is public health at risk. So let them just postpone this thing. It's just as if they are purposely putting our health at risk. At least let them just postpone it. Thank you, Ify.
All right, Falari. This is from Maestro on Twitter saying, I wonder sometimes how the government reasons. Imagine we have a looming pandemic and they're telling us to go and do our NIN. This is coming from Valentine saying our leaders have quietly gone to take the vaccines abroad and are now sending us on a suicidal act with the NIN registration.
At least Atiku has taken his own abroad, according to the news.
Interesting.
In Dubai.
All right, let's take this and then we move on to the last story. Lagos Talks. Good morning. Who's speaking?
Hello, good morning. My name is...
Sorry?
Good morning. My name is Peter from Ibadan.
All right, Peter, welcome. Let's hear you.
Yeah, Mr. Seun, good morning.
Now just Seun, I never miss my star, my brother.
Okay, make you know me last time. Now this time we want use that. Yeah, I like the fact that you are going from road to road because I believe that these people are called Ubians. They don't have access to internet, they don't have access to phone, they don't even know what's going on. So this is the only power this government have. Apart from those people, they don't have anything to do again. Now they say we should go and do it. I say the name is just a way to install people again. First they said they weren't collecting money. Then later I became like, okay, we'll make people pay 15,000 for correction of anything. This is a mistake. People should pay 15,000 to correct it again. Later, they will say they don't feel work again. Something they don't want school to resume because of COVID. Now people are bombarding the NIN office. I went to the one at Ibadan 4 a.m. in the morning, and people were already plenty.
4 a.m.
Like I could not even stay because
ridiculous.
COVID is real. I know.
All right. Thank you very much for your take, and thanks to everyone who's called in so far. Let's move on quickly to this very last story we're going to be telling. We know that 51 years today, we are remembering the end of the Civil War. Started the 6th of July 1967 to the 15th of January 1970. And aside from remembering the fallen heroes, for some, there was a webinar in this regard. And a few speakers at the webinar spoke on the aftermath of the Civil War and also raising an alarm, so to speak, saying that there could be a possibility that there will be a repeat of the Civil War in recent times. Now, former governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi, the Catholic Bishop of Sokoto Diocese, Matthew Kuka, the Northern Elders Forum, and a few others were at this, webinar. And they were just cautioning that unless something urgent was done, the aftermath of the ongoing injustice, poor governance, leadership failure in the country will be worse than what was experienced during the Civil War. So I just want to, take out of some of the things said by these individuals, Seun, I would like for you to let us know if indeed these are some of the reasons that could lead to a repeat of the Civil War. So just taking a look at some of the things that Peter Obi said, he said we are still traveling on the same road to the same destination. The road has got more bumpy, worse than it was than when Nigerians, traveled that road before. If you compare what is happening today and what happened then, what brought Nigeria to that destination in the past has actually gotten worse today. All those things that made them to participate in what happened are still very much today and getting worse, starting from incompetent leadership with lack of capacity and character. Just moving quickly to Kuka, what he did say, He was the keynote speaker as well. He did explain that Nigeria had yet to learn any lesson from the Civil War, adding that the frustration and feeling of injustice by a section of the country after the war were still rife till today. He said, and I quote, "I was told of a late general who said that were the Civil War to occur again, he would fight on the other side. There's a lot of resentment, anxiety, and frustration, and the feeling is that we have not learned any lesson." And a few other things were said. But just taking a look at this, from what Kuka said, he did mention that the sentiments felt, even in the aftermath of the Civil War, are still felt by a section of people in today's Nigeria. And with Peter Obi saying that we are still on the same path that led to the Civil War 51 years ago, we are still on the same path today, saying that if care is not taken, there's a possibility of the repeat of what happened during the Civil War in Nigeria. So just taking a look at it, do you believe that in now Nigeria, with the existence of these injustices that we can clearly see, that this could possibly lead to another civil war?
There has been a civil war against the Nigerian poor people and working class people that didn't stop from 1970 till now. So I don't know what these entitled rich Nigerians are sitting down in their webinar discussing. Because it's really me. I don't understand when people are talking to themselves but using the pronoun we. We what? We who? We haven't learned. We what we. They are talking to themselves, because these are men that have been in position to learn the lesson, to make those lessons that are learned become policy, to actually do the work, and they didn't. They all enrich themselves. You understand?
Yeah.
So now they sit down there after declaring war on the poor people of this country. They're telling us that Nigeria is on the verge of another rich man's war. Because now they were telling us that the rich people want to fight themselves. Because that's what me. Because if that's not what he's saying, how does this relate to poor Nigerians? We have been under economic warfare, medical warfare, educational warfare, social. The elite of this country, they just increase in the middle of this COVID. They increase electricity tariff, increase fuel.
A few times.
Is that not
just once?
Is that not war on the poor? That's economic warfare on the poor people of this country, when they have used the Commonwealth of this country to amass billions for themselves. But now they sit down trying to scare us, telling us that we are going down the road of war, civil war. We didn't learn lesson. Who are the biggest olodos of this class? If it's not the leaders that are in the front of the class. Yes, who are the biggest olodos? Because I don't understand. Is it we that didn't even enter the classroom at all? Or you that entered the classroom and then you still come outside not knowing anything, like we that were outside? Because I don't understand what people are trying to say here. But
Seun, just because we're not running out of time right now.
Yeah.
Just touching on one of the things mentioned by Kuka, saying that the injustices by a section of the country after the war is still very much rife now. Now, just taking a look at what happened and the stories that have been passed down to our generation by our parents. One major area, that has been highlighted is the existence of ethnic division between the people of Nigeria. But with the EndSARS protest, one thing that we saw was a semblance of oneness, especially amongst the youth. And knowing that 70% of our population are youth.
Yeah.
And we saw a oneness. And we heard a lot of people saying things like, this thing called ethnic divisions. Are you sure it's not our parents brainwashing us? Because what we want is a better Nigeria, and we don't mind coming together for a better Nigeria. So with what happened during, the EndSARS protest, and with what, these individuals are saying, that we're on the same path that could lead to a civil war. And we know that the civil war, it was hinged on the youth fighting. Because I remember my father several times saying that they took him to go and fight, but for some reason he just kept escaping. And with the youth if there is a civil war, the youth is needed to fight, right? So do you think that the youth would even buy into such a thing, given the semblance of oneness that we saw during the NSAS protests?
You know, the thing about war is kill or be killed. So I think it's difficult for people to buy into or not buy into. Because when there's violence around you that can take your life, it's a human instinct.
Of course.
You want to at least stop
protect
that
yourself
first.
and...
You know, what we can do as young people is, before the war even starts, we should be prepared for our own liberation. The reason why their war can affect us is because we are not free of them. So the Nigerian elite can still control our own destiny in whichever way or shape, you know, that they choose.
Yeah.
It is quite interesting that when the people liberated palliative, they not say only Christians can take it, only Muslims can take it,
Interesting.
only Hausa can take it, only Igbo can take it. The reason why this so-called ethnic division is because mantra or whatever is a myth. This ethnic division myth exists is because we live in scarcity. And in scarcity, your interest, that's why survival instinct kicks in. It's just like war. I tell people, even though there's no guns sounding everywhere, you know, Nigeria, we are living in some kind of war state, or state of war, you know. So people are surviving here. We are not thriving, you know. When people say survival of the fittest, right? I am not even eating enough to be fit. So survival has taken a whole different dimension here. You know, so people are living in scarcity. So we are not in our best form. Many Nigerians live in their base self. You know, from hand to mouth, they got to eat. You understand? So at that level, politicians can manipulate people because they weaponize poverty.
Of course.
So when poverty has been weaponized, any narrative can be given to justify the actions of these elites, you know, because they are the ones that will employ thugs. Because if somebody was living well, you can't employ him as a thug.
Of course.
You can't tell him to go and do, except he's just a degenerate by himself, which will make their army shrink, you know. But they want a lot to pick from. You understand? So what's my own with rich people talking about civil war and lessons not learnt? If lessons have not been learnt in Nigeria, the we that they are saying there is we, the rich people of Nigeria, have refused, because the poor people of this country are learning the lesson every day when they see their children dying, when hunger is biting their stomach, when they are driving on these rickety roads that you all use helicopter and plane to fly over. I was telling a friend of mine that, no, not a friend, we were having a political meeting for MOP, and I was telling a fellow comrade how the Nigerian road is only built for goods and services. Any development in Nigeria is a development that benefits business. Anything, phone that we have is because business need phone. Any road that they build is because it's going to their factory, they need it to move their goods. It's not for human, they don't do anything. That's why if you can look at our education, compare our education to their banks, compare our healthcare to their hotels. So these are the questions we need to see. These are the things that we need to see as Nigerian people, that except it benefits business or their business in this country, nothing is done in this country at all.
All right, Seun, let's just take some calls because we have just a minute left to wrap up the show. 0809-234-5913, 0809-222-0913. Lagos Talks, good morning.
Okay.
All right, Ebuka, very quickly so that we can get other calls.
Very quickly, sorry. Just like you said, this war has been there. I said it to Daniel Kuni. My grandfather is still alive, 118. You know this story. But they never came to rewrite the wrong. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Lagos Talks. Good morning. Who's speaking, please?
Hello, good morning. My name is Victor.
All right, Victor, let's hear you.
So there was a question that I did ask you. Bishop Tuka said that some people are still grieved by the war. I expected you to say something about that, and you gave it a political answer. I don't understand.
He's saying that the question that I had asked about a faction of people that are still displeased from the war. So he said that he expected you to touch on that, but he doesn't seem to understand the response. Anyways, this is coming from Chidima saying it doesn't make sense that the schools have to resume. This is coming from Marcel saying, when I think of that on, I picture Ehanira squeezing his face at Malam Adamu over a chessboard where the pieces are running helter-skelter in no direction whatsoever. And then the president is just watching both of them play a ridiculous game and say nothing. This is coming from a listener saying, I want to know if you have any plans on ground upon approval of your movement as a party to carry along other body like Showara, etc. to build capacity.
The MOP is, as it says, the movement of the people, and I'm not the one to decide what MOP does or doesn't do. MOP
the people decide.
Yeah, MOP's decision is carried out by its EXCO, its National Executive Committee, its members. It's quite transparent. We've never even reached that stage yet.
Okay.
We just wrote to INEC yesterday. So we're just at our first step.
All right. This is from Charity saying they can afford to open the schools. Are there children in those schools? I beg, our government should respect themselves. Seun, you have my vote.
The point I was trying to make when I was talking before about, how everything in Nigeria is only about them, not for Nigerians. Ethnic division is in this country because there's no national mission.
Okay.
This elite of this country, they've not delivered a national mission to the people of Nigeria. A national mission that it is not lip service alone, that they also are behind, that they also are putting all this wealth that they've hoarded behind. You understand? That's why any government, any meaningful government that comes into this country must first of all embark on massive wealth redistribution. And when I say wealth redistribution, I'm not saying, to go and take money from one person and be putting it in our pocket. No. But those that have made themselves rich of the commonwealth of Nigerian people, what we all own, must now invest that money in the things that will benefit all the Nigerian people.
All right, it's 1 minute past 12, Seun. We have to say goodbye. It's been a great run, as it always is. Thank you to everyone who was a part of the show. Seun, thank you so much, as always.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show, as usual. And this Friday, I will give a different advice. And this Friday, the advice is for the rulers of this country.
Okay.
That they must stop now, because they are refusing to invest in the people of this country. They must now stop using ethnic division as an excuse for it. You understand? It's becoming too dangerous. Just too dangerous, because the problem that Nigeria has is that our commonwealth is not being distributed fairly. And for that reason, all this violence and everything is happening. And if you cannot admit that, stop blaming the people. Stop blaming the people.
Alrighty. Thank you very much, Seun. Thanks to everyone who was a part of the show. The People's Perspective comes on Fridays, 11 a.m. right here, and we dissect topical issues from your perspective. You can reach out to me on Instagram at Ify_I. That is IFY_I. Goodbye to everyone on Seun's Instagram Live. Seun, would you like to share your handle just in case people want to follow you?
Well, you can check out my Instagram, Big Bird Kuti, Twitter at Real Seun Kuti. Facebook, Seun Kuti.
All right, and follow Lagos Talks at Lagos Talks 913 across all social media platforms. There's more coming your way. The Midday Show with me, Ifunaya, isn't over yet. Coming up right now is the World News, coming to you live from our media studios. Stick around.
We are Lagos Talks 91.3.
Let's talk.